focus on hitting your goals in every area of your business. Remember, the universe rewards the bold. A leader has to take the risks. Welcome to the Wealth on the Beach podcast with Daniel Alonzo. I am your host. It's episode number 47. Shawn Wells is our guest today. Shawn is a registered dietitian, certified sports nutritionist, fellow in the International Society of Sports Nutrition, over a decade chief clinical dietitian, and in skilled nursing settings. He has formulated for over 2 decades and speaks all over the world, having also been on top podcasts as On It and Ben Greenfield, and now Wealth on the Beach podcast, obviously. And he's actually on a documentary, but we'll probably talk a little bit about that later, about dietary supplements. Shawn is a CEO of Zone Halo Research and a founding partner in both World's Greatest Ingredients, a novel ingredients discovery company, and K-Wired supplement industry acquisition and investment firm. Man, you got a resume among resumes, and that's not even half of it, okay? So yeah. This is really, really fun to meet you. What the heck is keto anyways, man?
Keto, yeah, it seems so trendy now. I've been doing it for about 20 years. Keto means getting into ketosis, the nutritional ketogenic diet, which is a very high-fat, very low-carb diet. And, you know, traditionally that was thought to be unhealthy because high fat is bad for you. We know now that's not true. And being in ketosis was very much a normal thing in years gone by. But now that we eat all day long and we eat high glycemic carbohydrates, especially sodas and candies and cookies, and we rarely get into ketosis. But when we were eating even our carbs, when they were high fiber carbs like vegetables, when they were resistant starches, like if you were to eat a potato or a green banana or raw oatmeal or these things, those would be resistant starches, have no glycemic impact. And then we would go a day without eating, maybe, you know, 1 meal a day, or sometimes miss a day or 2 without eating. If you probably went to years like, you know, caveman times, they might go 3 days without eating. And then during the winter, we probably would have been eating animals. All of this adds up to, we would have been in ketosis probably about half the time. Like, it's an alternate fuel source to have ketones instead of glucose. But I think now we're just, again, eating all day long, eating high carb, eating high glycemic carb, eating very little fiber, not exercising enough, all these things that were just glucose based. And we're seeing the results of that being type 2 diabetes on the rise, obesity on the rise. Alzheimer's is actually type 3 diabetes, insulin resistance of the brain. And all these things relate to what's called mitochondrial dysfunction. And every disease state, all aging, everything is tied back to mitochondrial dysfunction. And a lot of it is related to this elevated glucose, elevated insulin, elevated inflammation, and it's just kind of a downward spiral of disease states, if you will, and it's all related to kind of the way we're eating and exercising right now, or lack thereof.
There's a lot. I mean, this is a lot. We got a lot to cover. We're going to cover a lot of stuff. You're going to explain a lot of what you just said right now, because most people listening, they're like, what the heck is he talking about? But before we do that, I want to jump into a little bit about who you are and where you came from. So tell us a little bit about your growing up. You weren't born like this. You were actually a kid at one time, right?
Yeah. So I was in business school at a school called Babson. It was the #1 business specialty school, and I thought I was going to be a business rock star, and that's what I was told to go and do. You know, go out and make money, be in business. And I ended up working out and taking creatine and all this when I was in college, and really getting addicted to the changes in my body and liking what I was reading about supplements. I couldn't get enough. I'd be spending hours in GNCs just reading the labels, kind of like how people would do in a bookstore, just reading books. And I was just obsessed. And I remember going to my doctor, getting a physical, and I asked him about this idea of supplements and what he thought and how interested in it I was. And he drew out this lifeline for me from 20 to 80. I was 20 at the time. And he said, why not be happy between here and here? And it blew me away. It gave me permission to be what I wanted to be, what I had passion for. And I ultimately finished business school and went back to school to get my master's in nutritional biochemistry, get my RD, all that kind of stuff. But it really set me on that path. And someone's words can be very profound. Like, he has no idea like how much he radically changed my life path. And I ended up becoming what's known as the world's greatest formulator in the industry. And it's really because of one man's words. And interestingly, on the flip side of that, when I went to go to UNC Greensboro to get like a lot of prerequisites I needed to get into Chapel Hill, my dream school for my master's, a guidance counselor there told me, you're a business student, you will fail and fail miserably, and you should give up this idea. And if I had listened to him, there would be no world's greatest formulator either, and he would have taken away my dream. So I think about that all the time, that like how profound words can be in someone's life path. You have no idea, like the thing you say or do, like how it can radically change someone's life. I mean, someone may commit suicide over something you say, or may not commit suicide that day over something you say, but you know, maybe it's not that grave, but you just never know what impact your words have on a person or where they're at in their life right then. So that's something I'm mindful of. I'm blessed that someone did tell me that, and I certainly ended up using all the business. I have several businesses, as you mentioned now, and they've been very helpful to me. I've formulated about 500 products, patented about 10 ingredients, and have about 20 more on the way.
Wow.
And helped 4 companies go to acquisition in the supplement space. And yeah, and I travel the world speaking and lecturing. I've been on TV, documentaries, radio, podcasts. Like it's crazy. Like it's surreal to me, because I was dreaming big, but I don't think I was dreaming this big back then. Like I had no idea like how big it would get.
Well, that's exciting. I mean, really, really exciting. Good for you, Shawn. What an incredible story you have, and of course you've made such a huge impact on so many people's lives. I mean, just teaching about health, teaching about wellness, teaching about all the things that you've been able to bring to the table, and just looking forward to watching this thing unfold for you for the rest of your life, man. It's awesome. Hey, so check this out. What were you like when you were a little kid? What did your parents do?
My dad was in the Navy, an enlisted guy. My mom was, she actually was really into supplements. Interestingly, sold and took these supplements called Shaklee. They were natural supplements from Europe, and I became a fan of some of those things. Like when I was sick, I would take the vitamin C, and they had like a nutritional bar like way back in the day, and it was they were ahead of their time, and I think my mom was too. She had like the tackle box, with all the different supplements in it. So I think she started some of my passion for that. But I think very early on I was more of like an artistic creative. Like I liked Legos and just drawing and music and things like that. And I think I've been blessed with one of the things that's helped me is I'm left-handed, so I'm right-brained, kind of creative, but I've been good with science, obviously, and I think it's helped me to be strategic, be creative, see big picture kind of things. Because my teams, whenever I have, like when I've been at supplement companies or my teams now, there's people that are better than me at everything. I'm just really good at all of it. But there's people that are way better than me at any given thing that I work with. So I think like the creativity has allowed me to be strategic, to be big picture. And I think I'm blessed and smart enough to know that there's people that are better than me at everything. And so I just hire those people. But I think I have a good view of how to like make those people connect and work together and execute the vision.
I think that's incredible. I actually relate a lot to that because I wanted to become a cartoonist. So I'm an
Yeah.
artist. I can draw. I've always been really, really creative and never really liked school. That was not fun for me growing up. But I always got along with people. I was always a little bit of the leader in whatever I decided to do. And so I relate a lot to what you're talking about because I'd never really been the smartest or the best person at anything in the same room with anybody. I was just always that person that kind of rallied people together, got people to see a bigger picture. So the way you explained it, I could really relate to that. So pretty awesome. And so, I know that that you're teaching a lot of things right now. I mean, obviously you're teaching about supplements and teaching about how our body works and teaching us how to be more healthy. I think that's probably, I mean, would you sum up, how would you sum up your mission? Like, what is your mission here?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it is like how to, not only how to live more years in your life, but how to have more life in your years. I want quality of life. The greatest study of all time, I love research. The greatest study of all time is from Harvard, right? So it's over 75 years the study has existed and been going on. Hundreds of millions of dollars have gone into the study. And it started out with them looking at men from impoverished areas in Boston and men from more affluent areas in Boston, and to see like what had an impact on longevity and health. And what they've found over generations now, and now they're looking at women, they're looking at children, they're taking all kinds of blood markers, they look at the psychology, I mean, all kinds of data now. And what they've found is, without a doubt, the number one predictor of longevity is relationships. It's not the diet, it's not the supplements, it's not even exercise, it's relationships. And did you know, like in the blue zones, like in the 6 or 7 blue zones that they found, like where people live the longest, and they have the octogenarians, I think, the people that live over 100 and all that, like Sardinia and in Korea, it's the same thing. It's fellowship. It's like people look at Sardinia, oh, it's the red wine, is it the food that they're eating, is it the fish, is it the fiber, is it the Mediterranean stuff? It's really that they're sitting around a table for 2 hours fellowshipping. They made that meal themselves. They take the time to eat it, and they talk to each other, extended family and friends. They take time out. They're not eating a Big Mac, peeling away the wrapper as they drive 80 miles an hour down the road, cranking up their music and just cortisol heavy and what's called sympathetic nervous system driven. Like instead, like they're relaxing, they're fellowshipping, they're connecting. It's therapy, right? We need therapy. Like, it's not just a psychotherapist you go and get therapy at. Like in all these other countries, they get therapy every day for hours a day. So it's relationships that's most key. And, I do talk about biohacking. I do talk about blue light and saunas and cold plunges and NAD or vitamin C IVs and high intensity interval training and keto diet and all these different things. But I can tell you the most important thing is these relationships in your life, is mindset, having a good 5 around you. You're a product of the 5 people closest to you. Knowing your why, your purpose. These are things that are so life-changing that I would put it well above all the other hacks I could tell you, all the other science I could tell you. So it's definitely about putting the life in your years.
Okinawa is actually one of the ones that might have been on the tip of your tongue right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, coupled with the fish, coupled with the
Yeah.
fact that they work till they die, basically. They stay in the
Purpose.
fields and they work. It's purpose, right?
Yep.
And it's the relationships. They have a lot of social gatherings and they're always with people, and they're,
Yep.
little parades in the streets and, consistently. And so, yeah, I get it. I mean, I love what you're talking about. I'm obviously not an expert at all in any of this, other than how I've seen these certain things play out in my own life. I mean, I'm very, very fortunate, the fact that I get to put myself around a lot of people. I've spoke all over the world, and I've been able to influence and impact a lot of people, and I know exactly why I'm doing it. And it's fun. And I would do it for free, by the way. I would do it for free. And that's how motivated I am in trying to, to live my best life and to enjoy it the best I can, and hopefully give as much as I've gotten, at least, so it's been a fun thing. I mean, you talk a little bit about some struggle with tumors. So tell me a little bit about that. What does that mean?
Yeah, I've had a lot of health issues, and I'm actually blessed. I can say that I'm blessed to have had the health issues. Like, I don't believe there are mistakes, and I do believe it to be destiny, and I do believe it's what made me so passionate, what made me the world's greatest formulator, what made me work 80 hours a week, because I just want to get my message out there because of all the things I've been through and how I learned to fix me. I've had Hashimoto's syndrome. I've had chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, Epstein-Barr virus. Yes, and this pituitary adenoma, which is a brain tumor in my pituitary. It's not cancerous as of now, but I have a higher risk of cancer. One of the reasons I do keto, because keto definitely lowers the risk of cancer, and certainly is very therapeutic if you do have cancer. But this has definitely become my mission, is the pituitary, when it's impaired, wreaks havoc on all your hormones. I had sleep issues. I was losing muscle mass. My testosterone was in the toilet. My libido was obviously down. My estrogen was sky high. So I was kind of getting skinny fat. I was getting bad headaches because of the tumor actually pushing on my brain and the back of my eyes. So a lot of issues, but I'm blessed because of how much I had to dig in to figure it all out, with all my autoimmune stuff and depression. I've had obesity, anorexia at different points in my life. So, I'm blessed. I'm thankful that, think about it. If you were the perfect person, and, whatever we call that, and you had the perfect life, and you had no difficulties, no reason to adapt, overcome, grow, like Ryan Holiday's The Obstacle's the Way, right? Like stoicism, in science, it's called the hormetic response. What that adaptation makes you grow stronger. If that wasn't there, then I wouldn't be 1/10 the person I am. So I'm blessed to have the adversity. And I really see that. And it helps me connect to other people, helps me empathize with other people. And I wouldn't have it any other way now.
And when you went through all these difficult times and all these adversities and all these health issues, I mean, how old were you? I mean, what period of time was this? And by you biohacking and changing the course and direction, I mean, how long was this period of time that you kind of overcame a lot of these issues?
Yeah,
because people that are listening right now, Shawn, they're like, okay, why am I listening to this guy? I mean, he sounds kind of pretty messed up here, So what? So tell me, what part of your life was this?
Yeah, between 16 and 28, with a variety of different issues, and they were different stages. They didn't all happen at once, and some of it was, I think, me pushing so hard on my body and demanding so much of myself. And that's something I've gotten better at through the years, is not only, being passionate and driven and traveling the world and trying to do all these things and build my empire and on and on and on. Now I'm also learning how to take it down a notch, self-care, enjoy where you're at, live in the moment, meditate, gratitude. So, you know, again, like I'm blessed to have been through all of it. Like I'm blessed to be a driven person that's a high achiever and accomplishes a lot, but I've also learned my lessons through that. And I'm now helping other people that are high achievers, you know, so I can help them with how to, you know, maybe take it down a notch, because again, I've been through it. So yeah.
And so what are some of the main things that you did? I mean, if let's just say somebody out there right now, they're like, you know what, got diabetes. I mean, because I don't know if you ever watched that movie. What's that documentary, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dying? And now, again, I don't know if you agree with that. You may agree with it. You might not, whatever. But what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to get at is that this guy, within a couple of months, based on drinking green drinks, he basically, you know, turned around diabetes, high blood pressure, health issues, you know, weight issues, you know, all this stuff. Like, is that kind of like what you did, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me a little bit about that.
Let me give you a little clarity on that, because like people that are vegan, you know, really drive that message. And I don't think that's necessarily wrong. The problem right now is processed food, ultra processed food. It doesn't matter. Like you can eat carnivore, you can eat only meat, and I believe be healthy. You can eat only vegetables and be healthy. You can eat a mix of meat and vegetables and be healthy. I believe this is totally true. We're omnivores and we're meant to eat both. But the problem is ultra processed food. 100 years ago, we didn't have antibiotics, RBGH, RBST, artificial sweeteners, artificial flavors, artificial colors, GMOs. We didn't have all this stuff. We didn't have these high bliss point engineered foods that trigger dopamine and serotonin in the brain because they have a crunchy, fatty mouthfeel, high glycemic carbohydrate, and it's like boom, like in your brain. This is engineered food to make you overeat, to make you keep going, and chemicals that put you in a state of unhealthiness and addiction. And it's not a conspiracy, it's capitalism. That's what it is. If anyone doesn't believe me, I mean, it's been on the Lay's potato chips for a while now. You can't eat just one. They're engineered to be that way. And my example for this is if I gave you a handful of raw peanuts right now, how much could you eat? And then let's say I gave you, like I roasted them. And now I put some oil on them and some salt. And now I take oil, salt, roasted them, and add honey. Oil, salt, roast them, honey, habanero. Okay, like now you see what I'm doing like here? I'm like getting, like one of these things should happen with a food to trigger your brain to say, oh, this is good. You know, I like spicy. Oh, I like salty. Oh, I like sweet. I like crunchy. But they're putting all of them together. This doesn't occur in nature. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like, it's and foods that have, and you know, like some people have said, oh, high fat makes you fat. No, if you actually look at the studies, it's high fat, high glycemic carbohydrate that makes you fat. And that combination is quite deadly. And those are high bliss point foods. Like if you think about cakes and cookies and, you know, things like that, right?
So is it kind of, Shawn, let me just kind of wrap my brain around this. Is it kind of like, it's like when you go to dinner and they bring you out a really nice steak, but you ate like 3 loaves of bread before you ate the steak, right? Is that kind of what you're saying? Is that the carbs, because obviously the bread is this massive amount of carbs, carbohydrates, right? And then you got this steak. So the steak is not the bad part. It's the dang that you shoved all this and you combine those foods. I mean, is food combining, is that a big challenge for people?
Yeah. So when your carbohydrate intake's elevated, insulin becomes elevated, right? The hormone that deals with blood glucose. And you block what's called lipolysis, the breakdown of fat, when insulin's elevated, and you promote fat storage. So it's this combination that's not natural. It doesn't occur in nature. There's only one instance I know of that it occurs in nature, and it's when a bear is ready to hibernate for the winter in the autumn. The bear eats berries and high-fat foods like the fish or certain meats. And so the bear packs on the weight. So this isn't natural for us to eat like high fat, high glycemic carbohydrate. And it is almost all the food that we're eating right now is this high bliss point engineered ultra processed food. If I was to give you that steak, do you think you can eat a second steak? No, but if I gave you Coke or sweet iced tea or, like you said, the bread or, whatever with the steak, maybe. There was a study, I think I forget whether they did use sweet tea or Coca-Cola or something like that, but with that on the table and the people drinking that, what's called ad libitum freely, they ate anywhere from 30 to 50% more calories. And then there's calories in the beverage itself. So those things like override what's called satiety, your brain's appetite sensor. And so when we eat whole food, we stop, we regulate ourselves. But with all of this stuff, this empty calories and high bliss point foods and sugars and all, it's so easy to overeat. I mean, check this out. You go into a convenience store, right? It's the store of addiction. It's not a store of convenience. You're surrounded by tobacco, alcohol, lottery, porn, sugar, caffeine, right? It's all impulse buys. And if you look around, it's all color liquids and color cans and color packages. You go up to the register and it's all colorful candies. And you go to the drink cooler and it's all colorful liquids. And oh man, I gotta have this. That's what it is. It's addiction. It's visual. It's stimulating your brain. And you're ready to pack on the pounds.
What's intermittent fasting?
Yeah, so that's also known as time-restricted feeding. So fasting means not eating, which we all fast for certain periods when essentially we don't eat. So whether you're fasting 3 hours between meals or fasting 16 hours, that's what it would be. So time-restricted feeding is kind of picking like a window and sticking to that. So the most popular intermittent fasting would be 16 and 8. 16 hours not eating, 8 hours eating. Some people do a 20 and 4. Some people do every other day fasting. But that's what it is a certain window where you're not eating. And 16 and 8 isn't too hard because you have 8 hours typically where you're sleeping. So you just tack on maybe 4 hours prior and 4 hours after or something like that. And there you are. I think the best execution of intermittent fasting, time-restricted feeding, is during daylight hours is the only time you should be eating. Dr. Sachin Panda studied circadian rhythm, which is the rhythm our body goes through, and our body loves the daylight hours to be awake, to be processing, and it makes sense. We wouldn't be eating in the middle of the night when we should be sleeping, but yet we do this to ourselves all the time. We go out with friends, it's 10 o'clock at night, let's have drinks, let's have food, all this stuff, right? And we should only be eating when it's daylight.
So, I mean, would you say, because I know what somebody's saying, it's like, come on. I mean, they're going, it's easy for you, Shawn. Okay. It's easy for you. You don't know my situation. I'm really busy. I got to work all day and it's not easy. I got to snack throughout the day and to keep me going. And I got to drink my diet, Diet Cokes, as big as my head to keep me awake all day. And I got to drink 4 cups of coffee, and I'm a father with kids. And, and by the way, Shawn, Whole Foods store, that is so expensive. I can't afford to shop at that place. So it's like, what do I do? It's just not easy to do this. So what's your response?
Let me talk to some of the entrepreneurs listening in this way. How often have you as entrepreneurs heard, must be nice to have all that money, must be nice to travel the world, must be nice, I wish I had what you had? I've heard that a lot. And they don't know, you're looking back at them like, must be nice to have an evening free, must be nice to have the weekends off, must be nice to do what you want when you want and just relax. It must be nice to not be up in the middle of the night with the stress that I have. Must be nice to not have employees that depend on you. Must be nice. So, it's all about habits. It's all about outcomes. What you do needs to be outcome driven. Don't be so focused on, these little items. Just be more outcome driven. Like, what can I do to make myself feel better, and start thinking about that. Think about the impact it's making on you. Think about, if you drink less sodas a day, does that impact your bottom line as an entrepreneur? Maybe you start making another $100,000 because you drank 2 less Cokes a day. Is that worth it? And start thinking about, again, the years in your life and the life in your years. What are you trying to build? Are you trying to build an empire? Are you trying to build a legacy? Because if you are, you can't afford to not work out. You can't afford to not eat right. You can't afford to not have self-care habits. You can't keep driving 80 hours a week and doing Coca-Cola and Red Bulls and smoking and, nicotine packets and ephedrine and whatever it is you're doing, and going hard all the time. There will be repercussions, and you will not last. This whole hustle and grind, grind is stupid to me. Grind says it all. It's friction. You're breaking down. Pieces are breaking off. There's heat. There's wear. This is not maintainable long term. You can't go heads down through life. This isn't a way to live life. You need to hustle and flow. You need to be in a flow state, enjoy what you're doing, be in your optimal state, and that's what's most important.
I think you got it right on. I mean, I think that there's in anything that you do, there should be some sort of balance to it. And I think that everything, at least in my life, because I'm nowhere near perfect, and I have drank Red Bulls before, and I have grinded, I have whatever. But the one thing I've always said throughout the years, because I'm 44 years old, so, and I feel freaking fantastic. I mean, I got more energy than I've ever had in my life. I think I've never felt better than I feel right now. But I've always told people, look, everything within moderation. I think sometimes we listen to somebody like you that
Mm-hmm.
has all the answers. I mean, you got some, really smart dude. And I think some people are out there listening, there's no way I can do everything he's telling me to do. But the truth is that you don't have to do everything he's telling you to do. You just have to start. And it's kind of like when you take on a task or you take on a new goal in your life, you take bite-sized pieces.
Yep.
It's like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't smoke, but I'm sure there's people on here that smoke. Just smoke one less cigarette a day. And then next week, smoke another less cigarette a day, and start, I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, 100%. This is exactly what I do with people. If they were drinking 6 Cokes a day, I wouldn't take them all away. I wouldn't deprive them. That's that's not maintainable long run. They won't, it's all about compliance. It's not about doing it in the short term. It's about a lifestyle. So that means compliance. Can they do it and keep it up? So I'll say, can you just get down to 2 of the 6, and then we'll get down to 1, and over time, maybe we can do that. Or maybe they can just keep 1 a day in there, but do some other things. But yeah, I'm fine with that long run for sure. It is about a lifestyle, and it's about meeting someone where they're at. And you can't just simply take away everything, and you can't just have someone go shotgun and do everything all at once. That's not scientific either. The scientific method is about doing one thing at a time and seeing how it affects you, seeing how your body improves or doesn't improve. And then, if you maintain that, if you like what you're seeing, cool. Now add in another thing and keep going. Like you're saying, it's steps. You don't have to do everything all at once.
Yeah. And I just think, look, health is energy. I think health is life. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm very tentative who I follow. And as a business leader, and that's basically who we're talking to today, is a lot of business leaders and entrepreneurs. And it's you got to ask yourself, you look in the mirror and you go, would you follow you? Because when I see somebody that is not taking care of their body, it makes me think maybe they're not taking care of business. Maybe they're not taking care of their teams. Maybe they're not taking care of other things. And so the way that you treat your body, the way that you take care of, or at least your discipline towards this part of your life, your energy, your fuel. Look, I mean, health is money. I think you make more money when you're healthier. A lot of the people that I know that make a good amount of money, they go to the gym and they try to stay healthy. Because look, I don't want to be 65 years old and look like shit and have diabetes and 200 pounds overweight. And then it's like, I can't live like that. You know, one of the things for me too, as being a father, I have 2 kids, and I remember very, very clearly, because I did grind for a long time, but I never got overweight. But I, you know, consciously didn't get overweight because I wanted to go on the rides with my kids. I was the dad, Shawn, at the fair, the only dad. All the other dads, unhealthy dads, they were sitting along. I could actually fit inside of the dang thing because I've been fasting since this intermittent fasting thing. I've been fasting forever, man, intermittently, before I even knew what I was doing, really, right? Because sometimes you get work in and then you forget to eat, and you're just, you know, you're doing what you're doing, and there was no exact science to it, but it's like, look, when you're healthier, your sex is better. Come on, man. I mean, what do you think about that, man? Is sex better when you feel great and you have energy? Is there any scientific on that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's science on the reverse too, that like when you're having sex more often, you're healthier. That it not only affects obviously your mental state and again, like the well-being neurotransmitters, GABA, serotonin, dopamine, but also it affects when your body thinks that you are in a state of procreating, it makes the hormonal milieu, basically all your hormones and your neurotransmitters be in a state of, okay, we need to reproduce, and therefore we need to be in our optimal healthy state. So when you're having sex more often, that actually happens. And they've shown that. So it's true both ways, that yes, having sex more often is definitely something you want to shoot for.
This is good stuff. I'm telling you, Shawn, I mean, me and you, I think we're going to become good friends because I like where you're going with this, man. All right. So look, last thing I'm just going to kind of throw at you is, you know, what are some of the other common mistakes that you can think of that people make, and maybe how they can fix as far as to get on the right track health-wise, especially as a business owner? What are some little things that they could be doing?
I would say that, you know, again, I could spend a long time on mindset, and I really think, I mean, just first off, who are the 5 people around you? And I'm dead serious about this. If the 5 people around you that are closest to you that have your ear are the people that are just in your house, your neighbors, the friends that you've had for years, and you're not consciously choosing mentors, you're not consciously choosing the people you aspire to be, then you're making a grave mistake. And it's costing you a lot. You need to really consciously choose these 5 people, and it will radically change your life. I promise that. But as far as some other hacks, if you will, you know, the first thing, keto is cool, but I would say that we all should agree on, going back to what I was talking about before, is eating whole food. We should all agree. You can call it paleo, ancestral, Whole30, whatever you want to call it. We should all agree to dump the ultra processed food, these high bliss point, engineered, manipulative foods. They're not only high glycemic carbohydrate, which keeps insulin elevated, which keeps inflammation elevated and aging elevated, but then they have pro-inflammatory vegetable oils, all these things. So, you know, dump those. And I would say intermittent fasting is definitely a way to not only allow that insulin to drop and allow growth hormone to be elevated, and you know, get back your insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, all of these things, give your body a rest, right? Like, just think about your cell phone, right? Like when this thing's on full brightness and going full steam and it's always being used, you know, like when you're on a trip or you're on a plane and it's like, just, wow, it ran down in 3 hours. You know, if you give your phone a break, put it in airplane mode, whatever, it's the same as when you give your body that break. Give it a break. Like when you do the self-care, when you meditate, or when you do intermittent fasting, you need a break sometime. You need to balance this out. So I think that's important. I would also say that taking some good supplements. Some of my top ones would be a quality probiotic, taking a good multivitamin, fish oil that's high in DHA and EPA, creatine every day, and maybe curcumin CBD for inflammation. And the last one, maybe for blood sugar, this one's very powerful. It's called berberine. It's as effective for anti-aging and blood sugar as metformin. If you know anti-aging, you've heard of metformin. So that would be something I'd recommend. And those are, and then, tracking blue light. This is a huge one because of devices, because of our laptops, our cell phones, our TVs, these 4K, Ultra HD, HDR, whatever TVs. I mean, we are assaulted with light, and it's not natural. First thing in the morning, if it's dark, I do believe you should get blue light exposure. So getting a Philips Go light or something like that. If you need to get going at 4:30, 5:30 in the morning, go work out, get the blue light to get your circadian rhythm running. And then in the evening, wear some blue light blocking glasses, turn on night shift, night light, whatever on your Android or Apple. Be cognizant of your TV, or especially like the 70, 80-inch HD TVs and the brightness they have. Wear the blue light blocking glasses. Think about that when you're on your laptop, especially at night. This blue light is actually blocking melatonin's release from your brain, so you have a harder time falling asleep and staying asleep at night because of all the blue light exposure. And then they've shown that, for example, with workplace displacement syndrome, which is like these night shift workers, they live 20 to 30% less. It literally has that big of an impact. And they've shown with just an hour or two less sleep a night, like if you get 6 to 7 hours, that your risk dramatically rises for type 2 diabetes, for coronary heart disease, for stress disorders, all these things. It's because you're not giving that body the downtime to relax, to recharge. It's like not plugging in your cell phone, right? It's like, only plugging it in for, an hour and then like expecting to go the whole day with it. And then what do you have to do? You have to get like your backup charger. You have to get, you got to keep plugging in during the day. This is like your caffeine and your Red Bulls and because you didn't get enough sleep. They've shown that the neurons don't function as well. The neurons are actually sleepy, your brain cells. They don't function as well because they didn't get the sleep that they need. And so I would definitely say just, be cognizant of sleep. You want better performance, allow your body the chance to rest and repair. And then along with that, the gratitude, the meditation, the sunbathing, the sun gazing, the, grounding by taking your shoes off and walking around outside, like doing some of these things, like be a kid sometimes, like enjoy nature. We're not meant to be in boxes under fluorescent light with recycled air, eating our ultra processed food, watching our cell phones like blazing light in our faces. Like, this isn't natural. None of this is natural. Be aware of how unnatural a lot of the things we are doing are.
Oh man, I'm fascinated. I am like, I need one of those like explosions coming out of my brain right now. I'm telling you, I'm taking notes like you can't believe. I don't know how to spell most of the shit you just talked about, but you're gonna send it to me later, okay? So,
okay.
But let me tell you something, man. This is just absolutely incredible. I'm gonna throw some questions at you real quick, man. Would you travel in space if it was possible?
100%, 1,000%.
All right.
I'm obsessed with space.
What's the best present you've ever received?
Wow. Probably that guy that told me to pursue my life dream.
There you go. There you go, man. Do you like ice in your drinks?
Yes.
All right.
It
Would you rather
actually
have
is, it's a calorie burner because you have to warm that ice water up. So if you drink ice water, it's actually negative calories.
come on, really?
Negative calories, yes.
I'm telling you, that's my secret because I only drink water with lemon when I go out somewhere. So it's that works. Would you rather have endless love or endless money? I already know the answer to this.
Oh, love for sure. Come on.
All right, man. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. Hey, I'm fascinated. I love you already. I'm your biggest freaking fan there is in the world, the greatest formulator. Okay. And I'm just excited about that. Hey, how do we get a hold of you? Because there's a lot of people right now, they're going, man, I want to know what this guy does. I need to read and I need to figure out what the heck he just said and all this different, creatine and berberine and all this stuff. So
Yes.
how do we get a hold of you? How do we connect with you, man?
Yeah, ShawnWells.com, ShawnWells, ShawnWells.com, and then at Zone Halo, the name of my company, ZoneHalo on Instagram. So at Zone Halo.
Good stuff. Follow him on Instagram right now. Stop this podcast. Go follow him. Get that done. Go check out Shawn Wells. Register on it. Buy his books. Get his supplements. Do whatever you got to do because this guy knows what he's talking about. Look, I've studied a lot of this stuff for a lot of years, and I know this guy is on point right now. I promise you. I feel as best as I possibly could feel. And a lot of the things, believe it or not, a lot of the supplements, a lot of fish oil, and a lot of the things I've been doing for a long, long time. So I'm like with you. Okay. All right. So, and the last thing is make sure you follow this podcast, share it like crazy with everybody you know. We are also still signing up people every single day. I have a Wealth on the Beach Club, Shawn. Every week they get to spend time with Daniel Alonzo, 1 hour, half an hour lesson. We talk about money. We talk about business. We talk about massive passive income and residual income and how to get their lives to that next level. We talk about health as well. We talk about lots of different areas of people's lives. And then also we do a Q&A session. Check that out on alonzoacademy.com. And as always, check out my YouTube channel for lots of free, valuable content. I'm going to tell you, like I always tell you, dream bigger than ever, but make sure that you do it now. God bless you. We'll see you at the top.